like Chanel. See on both sides like Chanel.
All right, welcome. Today we're diving into something that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a fantasy story, the alchemy of the flaw. And it's this really powerful idea. What if the parts of ourselves we're always trying to hide, our weaknesses, could actually become our greatest assets? So it really all boils down to this one big question, right? A question I think every single one of us has wrestled with at some point. How do you actually turn your weaknesses into strengths? I mean, it sounds kind of impossible, like a total paradox, but that's exactly what we're going to unpack. You know what I'm talking about. We've all got them. Those things about ourselves that just feel heavy. Like this piece of lead we're forced to carry around everywhere we go. Maybe for you, it's being impatient, or maybe you feel like you're way too sensitive, or you're just plain stubborn. It's so easy to look at those things and think, yep, that's just a permanent flaw that's always going to hold me back. But what if that's not the whole story? Okay, this is where things get really interesting. We have to completely shift how we're looking at this. We need to put on our alchemist hat, so to speak. And it's all about this one huge change in perspective. Stop seeing your flaw as some broken thing that needs to be fixed and start seeing it as raw, untapped potential. Just raw material. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it lays out two totally different ways of thinking. So on one hand, you've got the normal way, right? The conventional view. That's where a weakness is something you have to fix or hide or just get rid of. It's a constant battle. But then you have the alchemical view, and this is a total game changer. It looks at that exact same flaw and doesn't see an enemy. It sees the starting ingredients for something amazing. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? How do we pull off this personal alchemy? Well, here's the good news. It's not some mystical secret. It's a process, a real practical process that breaks down into 4 super clear steps that, honestly, anyone can follow. Think of this as your roadmap for turning that lead into gold. All right, here they are, the 4 steps of transmutation. First step, acknowledge the flaw. Then you've got to understand the root. After that comes the really cool part, reframe the narrative. And finally, you have to integrate the strength. See how that works? It's like a ladder. Each step gets you closer to the goal. So let's dive in and break down exactly what each one means. Okay, step 1, acknowledge. And I can't stress this enough, this part is absolutely crucial. It's where you just stop. You stop fighting it, you stop denying it, you stop making excuses for it, you just look that flaw square in the face with total honesty. No judgment, you just say, okay, yeah, I'm impatient, or you know what, I am overly sensitive. That's it. That's the starting line. All right, next up, step 2. Understand. And this is where you switch gears from being a judge to being a detective. It's time to get curious about yourself. Start asking some questions, like, where did this thing even come from? Was there a point in my life where being this way actually helped me, where it served a purpose? Because trust me, every one of these so-called flaws has an origin story. It was useful once. And this brings us to step 3, which is really the heart of the whole process, reframe. And this brilliantly illustrates how we find that hidden gold. You look at the raw energy of the flaw and you find its other side, its positive twin. That impatience you've been fighting, that's just raw, unfiltered drive. That oversensitivity that feels like a curse, that is the exact same energy as deep empathy. And finally, we have step 4, integrate. Because let's be real, an aha moment is pretty useless if you don't do anything with it, right? This is where you start consciously, intentionally using that reframed trait as a strength. You take that impatience, now called drive, and you point it at that project you've been putting off. You use that oversensitivity, now called empathy, to really connect with someone. You're not just looking at the gold anymore, you're actually using it. So once you've gone through those 4 steps, you get to this amazing place, and that's when it hits you. The point was never to cut out a part of yourself. It was always about transforming it. You finally find your hidden gold. And the craziest part? It's the strength that was right there, inside the weakness the entire time. I love this quote because it just nails the whole idea. Think about it. We're so often taught to see a flaw as the end of the road, a final judgment on who we are. But when you look at it through this alchemical lens, it's the complete opposite. It's not the end of the story, it's the beginning. It's the starting pistol for the real work. So let's boil it all down. What's the big takeaway here? It's that your greatest weaknesses, well, they contain the seeds of your greatest strengths. The process, it's those 4 steps. Acknowledge, understand, reframe, and integrate. And the goal? It's not about getting rid of the lead. It's about turning it into gold. And that really just leaves one final question. And this one's for you. You've got the Alchemist's Guidebook now. You know the 4 steps. So, what piece of lead in your life are you going to choose to transform first?
My guy's pretty like a girl, and he got 5 stories to tell. I see both sides like Chanel. See on both sides like Chanel.